Hello, I'm Gianluca, and I help Datum maintaining a few repositories, in particularly Datum CTL. And today I have a couple of news and things I want to show you about how to use that, what we are doing, and what's up with the CTL. So first, Datum exposed a Kubernetes-like API. So in fact, it is an API server. It is a set of API servers, to be precise. So you don't need much more than the client Go or any other client available that you already use for interact with Kubernetes or the kubectl. In fact, before developing the DatumCTL, we were all using the kubectl to interact with the Datum API. But now we have more opinions. We also are very strong networking engineer. Well, not really myself, but at Datum there are many good networking engineer, and they are exposing the backbone of the network through a Kubernetes-like API. So we have opinions about what do we want to do for observability, for monitoring, and for agentic AI. So having our own CTL makes a lot of sense. We have more commands like an MCP, or we are developing an AI REPL similar to kubectl AI. So there is a lot of ongoing experimentation, and the kubectl was not enough for us to describe what we are up to. So we decided to do our own one. How do you get it? Well, pretty simple. You go to GitHub, DatumCTL repository, and we release binaries that are pre-compiled and ready to be used. Another way it is to go to datum.net. There is a download page with a few things that you can download. One is the DatumCTL. And in there you can see homebrew support if you are on Mac, or Nix support if you use Nix or NixOS, Windows, and all of that. Pretty easy. So when you have your CTL locally available, what can you do? Well, you can do already a couple of things. So as I said, we want the experience to be as good as possible, or as familiar as possible for people experienced with Kubernetes. So if we do kubectl, if we type kubectl and we have a look, you will recognize some of the commands that you are used to in the Kubernetes land. So we have get, we have describe, we have apply, create, diff, explain, if you want to navigate how the resources are made and how to use them. But we also have more. We have a docs command that doesn't come from the kubectl. Oh yeah, I was forgetting. So all the commands that are similar to the kubectl are not just similar, they are coming from the kubectl. For some of them we use the kubectl as a library embedded into the DatumCTL, and we just change a few things like the error, how we report errors and other things, but not much. So from the custom experience, or from the Datum way, we are, for example, having a docs command that connects to our API, downloads the current available version of the OpenAPI spec, and gives you web HTTP server that you can connect and look at for figuring out how the API works. So that's very convenient in our environment where we are developing very quickly. You can see what changes and what new API are available. We have the authentication command that helps you to log into Datum. We are doing a lot of work there. I will tell you later why, but yeah, this is how you also bridge the tokens from Datum to the kubectl-like configuration that you can use straight from the kubectl. We have the MCP. We have many versions, so I will share probably something about MCP in its own video because we are doing a lot of experiments. There is the activity command that helps you to interact with the activity controller, so you can get logs and metrics and activity feeds from your interaction with the Datum API. Yeah, so there is a lot to unwrap, but usually how I start is by targeting the project that I want to work on. So to do that, I need to do DatumCTL, get organization, and you get the list of organization you are a member of. So you get the one organization, and then you do DatumCTL, get project, organization, and you filter to the project in such organization that you are a member of. Because when you have the project ID is required to point the resources in the right folder, let's say. So as you can see, there is already a lot to remember and a lot of muscle memories that you shouldn't really remember. All those IDs are not that friendly to to type all the time. So we are in fact working at one persistency layer for the API and for the DatumCTL, but also for other projects as well. So it will be similar to what you do with kubectl context, but we are still discussing about how we want that to look like. There is a enhancement in an issue in our enhancement repo and also a pull request in the DatumCTL that you will find linked somewhere. So if you are interested and you want to contribute, that's a very good time because we are actually trying to implement that for you. So in the future, you won't have to remember all those IDs, but you will be able to configure some sort of context and switching between all of that. That said, I prepared HTTP proxy YAML object for you today. So I want to apply and create an HTTP proxy. So the HTTP proxy is the main entrance to the Datum network. So you will pass through the network, the Datum network, and go somewhere else. So in this case, to the GitHub API. So what is actually returning? The GitHub API is returning a list of URLs. So if we, as soon as we apply this HTTP proxy object, we will get a domain name and we will get the redirect that we just described here. So if we do DatumCTL apply -f edge, and we need to specify the project. Oops, I think I didn't copy that. Let's do that again. So you see why it's painful and why we are trying to fix that as quickly as possible. Position, get, and then now you can do DatumCTL apply project -f AI edge, and you see that it is in creation. So if you do DatumCTL get HTTP proxy project, you will see that it is programmed and the certificates got delivered because the HTTP proxy also supports TLS. You can also do the output to other format like YAML or JSON, so you can see what's going on a bit more. Yeah, the host name that we got is this one. And yeah, at this point, if we have made everything right, the expectation is that you will see the same response that GitHub provides. And here we are. So in fact, the HTTP proxy is working and the traffic is flowing through the Datum network. So yeah, this is what I have for you today. And yeah, an HTTP proxy may not be a lot, but we already have an API and a CTL that is friendly, at least like the kubectl, or this is what we are trying to do. And the HTTP proxy is the main entrance to the Datum network. So all the features and everything that will be built or that is available is on top of that. So let's give it a try and have a look at what Datum already supports. And yeah, if you have anything for me, let me know. I watch GitHub issues and pull requests. We have a Discord channel as well, so let's join and hang out there. So yeah, thank you and have a good day. Bye.